You know, I've loved thinking about meanings all my life. All my life, I have loved to reflect on meanings. Especially for me, the most important question was, what is life for? This is probably the most important question that constantly motivates me to look for something. To be honest, I've been trying to find an answer to this question all my life. But on the other hand, I understand that there is definitely a meaning to life. Are people who say that there is no meaning to life. I definitely don't understand those people. That is, I understand that there is a meaning to life, but I do not understand those people who say that there is no meaning to life. Of course, I'll start as a child. I'm just a pond with the flow. I won't say that I started thinking about the meaning of life there from the age of 5. I was just going with the flow. I woke up, did what I was supposed to do there, ate, worked, solved the problems that arose from day to day. It was good enough for me there, comfortable. I was getting high and not thinking about anything. And this period later, I realized that it was simply called a happy childhood. So, a happy childhood passed, but then after graduating from school, I voluntarily succumbed to a sense of patriotism. I don't feel very sorry for all of my patriotism. He signed up for the Youth Shaman Brigade. And it was such a hell of a job. Every day, every day, every day. And so that's when. Recently they say that in order to strive for something somewhere, you need either a torch on your head or candles under your ass, right? Here I have a candle under my ass just. And at that moment, a thought struck me. I think each of us is in my place, sitting on a horse that is already day. Sultry summer. This, in my opinion, is the 84th year, about her month. Heat, haze, flies fly, sheep. The review does not sway in rockets. I love it so much in general, there's nothing else there. And suddenly, looking at the sheep, I think, what am I missing? What am I? Why did I end up at the bottom, at the very bottom of the social ladder? And then I thought for myself. I definitely wasn't born to graze my food. And that was the first meaning. The first meaning for me. The first one for me was the meaning of not grazing my food. From that moment, I started learning, developing, growing. I immediately met a guy who was an amateur radio operator, and he was on parole for 2 years. He has poor eyesight. He is with Karagandab. He was on the radio and listening to Radio Liberty. Because of this, he was imprisoned and sent to us. First of all, I twisted drinking. That's the time to communicate. To get drunk, it's up to the sign of equality. With his friends Chemins. Because there is communication for drinking, heal for communication. I started going to this guy and began to be interested for the sake of freedom. What is physics there? Well, many moments. How he gathered it on the table. And for me it was real at that time. Such a genius is Elon Musk. Here's the local Elon Musk. And he had very poor eyesight. And here on the table, he created a radio that, for the sake of freedom. And just like that, I twisted these copper wires there for a very long time and felt. I thought it would electrocute him. No insulation, no chips, everything is on the table. But, at the same time, he turned on this freedom, and the two of us listened. Well, I wasn't afraid. Why? Because I knew they wouldn't send me any further from where I was sitting. So he was sent to us from Karaganda. And I knew for sure that they didn't go anywhere further. So I sat from the sky and listened for the sake of understanding everything. And it was so fresh, you know, as if we punched a hole under the ass in general, and fresh air came from there. Here, that's the feeling, such a fresh, cool breeze. Then there was the army, then the university, where I finally decided for myself that I would definitely have a lot of money. For me at that moment, money was everything. For freedom, opportunity, well, everything. Because I'm Saul's boyfriend, for me, Vol was like that, the cult of power. If you are strong, if you are a winner, everything counts. There was no question of morality, there was a cult of power. Accordingly, if you have money, then as it were, everything is fine. For all the years in business, I have been self-motivating. My main goal has always been to earn as much money as possible. Money for me was a kind of account in the game. Well, I think business is like a game, and money is an account that shows how successful I am or not. And everything changed in February of the year 2009. All my assets were taken away from me. You probably already know you're almost $6 billion, and I was brought 5 criminal cases. And I lost all of my assets overnight. But most importantly, I didn't lose myself. I remember sitting in Dubai, looking at the sea, and thinking about what happened. Do you know how they joke now? What was it? I also don't remember what it was, what happened. I couldn't wrap my head around such a gigantic change in my life. I was sitting in the water of a house that I rented in someone else's name. I was sitting without phones because they listened to me everywhere and could find out where I was there. Without documents, baseball caps, so that God forbid they wouldn't recognize me, and so on. I was thinking how so recently I was on my yacht in Sardinia. 70 meters yacht, 21 people served me. 3 helicopters, each of which costs 15 million euros. His frequent flyer is $30 million. I think a lot of people, a security guard, and how I'm here on the beach alone under a false name. And I'm still sitting. I'm afraid that I am now. I say what happened? What happened? And since I evacuated all my family members, because there were nephews and so on, we had 37 family members in Dubai. And I had almost no money at that time. Well, I'll tell you so. For 2 months of living. Money for 2 months of living. And imagine what a difference it makes, right? And it was the hardest time for me. This is the hardest time. But I understand now that it was the hardest. It's just that my psyche will arrange it this way. That's when the time starts to come hard, and here I have like a relay from a pruner. Once it cuts off, and I stop feeling, my sensitivity disappears. I stop feeling pain, I stop feeling tragedy, and so on. I have a toggle switch turned on. What should I do now? Because responsibility, family, and so on. And so, step by step, thanks first of all, to the Almighty, I believe. And thanks to the fact that at one time, I graduated from the Kazakh law faculty. Quietly, I won all criminal, civil courts, in 7 countries of the world. He served 3 days in Dubai, 3 days in prison in Saudi Arabia. But there a little bit, but somehow along the edge, the Almighty saved me. I won. But I returned to Kazakhstan, but I have already returned with another person. It was a completely different person. And then, I thought about what is the most important thing for me in life. I realized that neither money, nor fame, nor power, nor counting. For me, the most important thing was to live a happy life. It sounds corny. I'm sure if I ask a question, 100% of you will say that you all want to live a happy life. But the problem is that coming out of this set, 99% of you will pursue a happy life for success. And these are completely different things. I realized how much money and fame had an unstable, treacherous basis. How quickly can they betray you? I started building a business on other principles and foundations. And one of the main principles for me was not I live for business, but business serves my life. The same attitude was born in me with regard to time management, by the way. Thanks to all these new principles of my outlook, I created a system that was planned. We have Kai at school. The basic principle of Kai's planning is to free up as much free time as possible for me, so that I can do what I love. What is wrong with time management? Time management is based on the principles of effectiveness. Time management forces you to do as many things as possible per unit of time, thus driving you into a dead end and burnout. The planning register is based on other principles. The execution of planning is built on freeing up as much time as possible for you to do your favorite things. Gradually, step by step, I began to do only my favorite things. But, at the same time, I was always trying to find harmony between business and happiness. I've been thinking a lot about this topic. I always dreamed of making business itself the main source of happiness. And then we have something like this, business. Then, I earned money from business. Then I tried to arrange happiness. And I wanted it all to be one. And so, in the 98th year, I became interested in golf. In the 2001 year, I became interested in aviation. And then, I became very interested in traveling. And I spent a lot of time with me on these classes. A lot of time. And I've always regretted only one thing. Why didn't I start doing this earlier? Why didn't I start doing this earlier? All the time I went to the airfield, I always envied the parachutists in a good way. I envied the pilots. I envied the climbers and travelers in a good way. I have always seen that they communicate with each other. And they don't worry about money at all, about each other's titles, statuses, and so on. And they are ready to communicate with you. They only see you as a person who is just as passionate about something as they are. They see you as a person equal to themselves, just as passionate. Therefore, they do not pursue money at all. It feels like they live in another world, but at the same time, I have never seen such bright eyes anywhere else. I saw only enthusiastic people. And I thought, how so? I will be a business, and there is one world, and here is another world. And how to make sure that I have people in business who have burning eyes, and who are happy, or at least strive for happiness. But life went on, and business developed with it. Let's talk about the evolution of business today, before we move on to the future. And we will come to the trends. It's not for nothing that I say this introduction at the beginning, and then I'll tie it up. If we go back to the history of business, we will see that in the beginning, to be a cool businessman and earn good money, but you just needed a product. If you produce a good product, you have been taught and you are cool. If you are a factory owner, you are cool. Over time, the goods became more and more. And the value began to acquire, not what kind of product you have, but where you sell it. Accordingly, such a concept as location 3 appeared. This is very important, especially for shops, restaurants, cafes, and so on. Location, that is, it is very important not what you sell, but where you sell. Because, even if you sell Valenki in the summer, Valenki in the month of July will be sold in the Moscow metro. You will still find your customers. Because the traffic. But it couldn't last that long, because not everyone got a good location, not everyone could afford it. And then an advertisement appears on the scene. Now the king was the one who gave a lot of advertising. Advertising, they say, is the engine of trade. Vacancy began to matter less, advertising to matter more. But over time, advertising has also become a lot, and people stopped responding to ads, because the first advertisement was always more of an advertisement than an advertisement. And then, marketing and brand come on the scene. Marketing is the science of our consumers and the best way to meet their needs. And a brand is an image that is evoked by the consumer when they come into contact with our product. But here it went until the 2000th, the beginning of the 2000th years. But then there was a technological revolution. And the attention of most consumers has shifted to the internet. This is how internet marketing appeared. You know, all the time I switched to Philip Kotler's book. Such a thick book became marketing. She's very cool. She's a classic and still is. But you know, marketing, internet marketing is something else. Philip, that's good, but internet marketing is something else. Since internet marketing was based on big numbers and data, sales funnels appeared. There are custom in black, right? And the client's path appeared. This is where we are right now. Now all online sales, on the internet, go through funnels, through cast. Yes, through sales funnels, conversion, and so on, and so on. Gradually, goods and services filled all market niches. There are plenty of goods for all tastes and for all occasions. You can probably see for yourself, for any price range, any quality, any brand, a bunch of products. Now the problem has become to make a decision and make a choice. But it did not add to this happiness. That's all the happiness we have not added. But this is the main thing that we all strive for. So, two new trends have emerged. Two new trends. The first trend is called meta-modernity. Our mental health. Not even so much health, but mental well-being. Mental. And the second trend is the community. You probably noticed that over the past 3 or 4 years, the internet, social networks, messengers have been remembered by various coaches, psychologists, and so on. For example, in Russia over the past year, the demand for a psychologist has grown by almost 400%. These are all employees of a new industry called Meta. Because when you have a huge selection of goods, a huge selection of services, a huge selection of opportunities, the most difficult thing becomes to make a choice. Making a choice is really hard. It's a joke, and this is when you do a lot of decisions a day, and a person, as American scientists have revered. I wish I could see the eyes of these scientists. Do it to me, honestly. They say that up to 10,000 decisions are made by a person in one day. Up to 10,000. Up to 10,000 solutions. So, metal takeaway is the fastest growing segment of the economy, now all over the world. And this is not just a trend, as one American publication would have noticed. This is a mega trend. Mega trend, and it will only get stronger and increase. And moreover, I also recommend you to take part in this. It's not just that I'm talking about some abstract trends of the future. You know, in my mentoring group, I'm always agitating the guys to create their own brand, so that everyone creates their own personal brand and starts teaching others. Unfortunately, we all have the wrong installation in our heads. We think that only experts can teach. But look, if we take an expert, he can take 10,000 hours to know his subject well, right? But here is a person who will still push from scratch. He does not need an expert who has passed 10,000. An expert who has passed 1,000 hours is enough for him. If you are in your business, what you do, you have a business turnover of conditionally $5 million. You can easily be a mentor for someone who had 500,000. And the one who has 500,000 can be a mentor for that 50,000 steps. Therefore, in order to train people, transfer experience, transfer knowledge, do not wait for the fact that you have become an expert. You will spend your whole life later, as I did in my old age. Why do you need this? Get drunk on yourself, but on stage, not on stage here to walk. Therefore, share your experience and knowledge earlier. Share your experience, knowledge earlier, join this trend. I definitely call for this, because where we are going is social ratings. They will definitely look at your social networks, accounts, and what brand you have. Now the whole world has turned into a small village. Moreover, embassies in the United States of European countries already have a mandatory requirement for social media accounts. I'll just tell you what I know by myself. So I just recently received an American 10-year visa. And I know from my friends who have accounts that don't. Those who do not have accounts, they went for an interview. And I have a couple of people who keep accounts, they have enough subscribers. They went to the consul, said, "You don't have to come." They were given a 10-year visa to compare. That is, it is very important to be an open, understandable world. Therefore, open accounts, promote yourself as experts, and help those below. This is how you can use this mega trend called mental. But I don't want to talk about this trend right now. I want to talk about the second trend. And he's big too, and he's close to me. This track is called community. The topic of my speech today is in the trends of the future community. Before we talk about this, let's talk about the concept of the ideal product. You know, I'm excited about this, about the concept of the perfect product. There is a definite problem. I'm a perfectionist in my own right. And even at the time, I thought it was cool that I was a perfectionist. But then I realized that I'm not cool at all. I realized that perfectionism was working against me. The problem is that, look, let's say you know that the market is developing very quickly. Everything is moving very fast, and the moment you create the perfect product, from that moment on, your ideal product begins to quickly become obsolete. It starts to become obsolete quickly, but the problem of an ideal product is not even that, but that the first 80% of the money, energy, attention spent on creating an ideal product, they are effective. And the last 20 are ineffective. That is, when you spend the last 20% of your efforts on finishing the goods, refining the goods, and so on. This is the most inefficient. Therefore, in startups, internet startups, there is such a thing as MUT. At least two products. That is, investors. It used to be so that everyone sat and drank a product, an ideal product. He thinks, I won't make an ideal product, and the investor hasn't bought it, or the investor will not invest. But when by the time he was making the perfect product, someone else had already created another product. So, investors began to demand creation. This is the minimum working product. That is, you create a minimal product with a minimal set of characteristics, showing a place, and he looks, works, and that's it, let's go on. So, perfectionism began to interfere with me in many areas, and then I moved on to changing my beliefs. I realized that perfectionism is also bad, and I have now come to understand that I work from the principle of effective imperfection. Effective imperfection. Today, the most correct way to create a product is effective imperfection. That is, you create and refine the product exactly as long as it is effective on the 6th. On the 6th. That is, you only do 80% of the work. Now the question arises, who will do the other 20? Here, I turn to what the community should do for the other 20. The other 20 should be done by the community. The thing is, look, you create 80% of my concepts for this product. Offer this product to the community. The community uses it. And you have to do it in such a way that someone constantly has to be financially stimulated to ensure that the product is refined. Another trick here is that people appreciate only what they have invested their energy in their strength. If you have cooked and then cooked, they do not appreciate it. And if you gave 80%, said guys, that's who will refine. It will turn out so much, people will be happy to refine. Therefore, make your consumers co-authors of your product. Make your consumers co-authors of your product. Then you will not get consumers. You will get co-authors who will be extremely loyal to you. Therefore, you need to focus more not on the quality of the product, but on the interaction of people in the process of using it. And the main experience and interaction of people in the process of using your product is formed in communities. It is formed in the community. Look, the main experience and interaction of people in the process of using your product is formed in the community. Moreover, you should not just create such a community, you should encourage the community to refine your product all the time. Let's look at what a community is. This is also very important to understand. To begin with a definition, a community is a group of people who have united and interact with each other on the basis of common interests, enjoying this from the process itself, and satisfying their needs for the security of communication, significance, thus gaining the meaning of their lives. One more time, Victor says I can just explain. In fact, it was a big competitor. Let's do it again. In a community, it's a group of people, of course, which united and interact with each other on the basis of common interests. It's clear later, right? Next, we enjoy the process itself. Due to this, satisfying your needs in what? In safety, in communication, in importance, and thus gaining the meaning of his life. The fact is that people gain the meaning of their lives, not from the product, but from interactions with other people. And your product is just a topic for interaction. It's just a theme. I can discuss the camera there conditionally with Nikolai Pakov today. Which is better, a camera, a book? He will find out that he is a canonist conditionally. And we went more important to the community. If you know the community of canonists, non-canonists. These are two of the strongest photographic people who were struggling. And Trump, they're drinking, which is better. What they are, how would it be a community? So, people find the meaning of their lives in the process of interacting with each other, and not from your product. You simply give them a reason to interact, have fun, and satisfy their needs for security, communication, and significance. A community can be created by riding around any product. Moreover, there are a lot of communities around us. We just don't notice them. And we look at them somehow as something taken for granted. You know how Kazakhs didn't have the word green before. But this does not mean that there was no green color. The color was green. It just wasn't there again. Or before Nassim Taleb, there was no anti-fragility again. But this does not mean that there were no anti-fragile phenomena. It was. People just didn't name it and didn't pay attention. It's the same with the community. Community is not something new. This is what we have between us every day, happens and so on. We just don't call it that. Accordingly, if we don't call it, then we don't see it. And if we don't see it, then we can't control it. And if we can't manage it, we can't benefit from it. Community watch. It is everywhere in different spheres, not only in business, and in politics, and in public life, and in cultural life, and in sports life, and in informal life too. The one the person who does not see communities now, at the moment, loses a lot. Because the trend is moving in this direction. If you have noticed, the club movement has been developing very strongly for the last 2 or 3 years. You see a lot of clubs in the CISIS. Yes, clubs, there are clubs here. There are a lot of forms. Businessmen began to assemble stadiums like artists. Here, I was recently speaking to an audience on the 2nd of October, 8,000 people at the Alma-Ata Arena. Where has this been seen? Businessman on Alma-Ata rent? I'm talking about something. Philip, or what? Why not? I had a loot. I have a self-styled syndrome. I think, what am I doing here? What can I tell these people? I can't sing. I can't dance. What else can I entertain them? And so on. But look, it's a craving for community. Whoever starts to see the community now, starts to have, manage and create, will get a huge competitive advantage. Look, there is a community, even as signs go, of motorcyclists. Harley Davidson. I also have guys in everyone. There is a community of ramen jeepers. She even has her own objects, her own signs and cause, and so on. There is a community of fishermen. I'm a member there too. There is a community of hunters. There is a community of beer lovers, bath lovers. There is a community of fans of Demisch Kudebergen. There is a community of travelers, tramps there. A bunch of community, tramps. So think, where have you seen or encountered the community? Can I have the next one? If you take any application, then there will definitely be formulas. You've probably encountered it yourself. Any application, there will definitely be a form. These are the chats in which this application is discussed. All its pros, all its cons, difficulties, cool chips and so on. It's a community. There is a community of gamers, where there is a community around each game, discussing and so on. Each game has a huge community of its fans. So, the world around us is full of communities. If you want, then the community, I would now call it, the trend of the community. This is not about creating a new community. And the new trend is to build a business as a community. That is, look, we used to have a lot of community everywhere, but the business was separate. And the new trend is precisely the trick, that the whole business builds on the community. And what's more, there are 3 stages. The first, business as a community. Business is based on community. The second is how. Rather, the first is when you create a community at your Tamara business. The second is when your business is community-based. And third, when the community moves your business. We'll talk about this briefly later. What are the benefits of communities, and what advantages do they provide? Firstly, all offline businesses will sooner or later face the fact that they need to be online. Because, if you have a representative office online, then you will not have sales. Everything is coming to this. Therefore, all of us, sooner or later, any business will be online. And what happens online? The cost of advertising is growing catastrophically online. If you sell goods on the internet, then you probably especially feel how fast the cost of advertising is growing. For example, over the past 4 years, the cost of advertising on the internet has increased all the time, not 70%. All once in 4 years. And this is not the limit, because advertising on social networks, Google, Facebook, Instagram, is based on an auction, and prices are rising all the time. Does this mean what? This means only one thing, that the cost of a person's attention will only grow. And in the end, we all compete only for attention. Because the scheme is very simple. Capturing a person's attention, retaining a person's attention, monetizing attention, the whole business. These are just 3 things: attention capture, attention retention, attention monetization. The cost of attention. When we buy ads on social networks, we attract attention, people's attention. And the conversion is how much you have caught the attention. If 1,000 people saw your ad, and 4 people just clicked, then you have 0% conversion only. Therefore, in order to go out or sell business, money, do business online or not, you must understand that the cost of advertising is growing catastrophically. The cost of attention is growing catastrophically. And this is the main field, though the rates will grow constantly. Next, the number of people blocking ads is growing at a catastrophic rate. Look, the cost of advertising is growing like this, but another problem is also growing: the number of people blocking ads. I'll tell you for myself, everything is blocked in my social networks. All the ads, all that. I have the tape. I cleaned up as much as possible. I unsubscribed from everyone. I have probably 3 or 4 years of everything coming to my email in a day. No more. Everything, wherever possible, is blocked. All my notifications are turned off. Calls in the phone do not work. All calls coming from unknown persons are automatically blocked. That is, and this is what every person should do if he wants to keep his attention. Because everyone wants to pull our attention apart. Therefore, the number of people blocking ads is growing terribly, catastrophically. Thirdly, the loyalty of customers to goods is catastrophically falling. People stop paying much attention to the product itself. Because there are a lot of goods now, the difference in the quality of the goods is not so big. Insignificant in the quality of the product. All products are of approximately the same quality. Therefore, no one wants to force their attention and memory with the names of goods. Fourth, the most important thing. It is becoming increasingly difficult to get feedback from customers. No one wants to waste their time writing reviews and product reviews. And without high-quality feedback, how will you commit? Here you can offer the market absolutely food. Therefore, high-quality feedback is a very, very important tool. And that's not all. There are a bunch of other tracks that aggravate this situation. And in order to resist all these trends, communities are again needed. How do you create a community? The community, like any process, has its own laws and will become. Let's take a brief look at them. The first. To begin with, to create your community, you need a catalyst. And let me play back a little more and tell you in simple words why you still need a community. Look. In order to sell, let's say, for products, you have to hand over 4 times. Give ribs 4 times. 4 times. Into 4 types of audience. That's a lot of money. This is every time you interact with a client once. And when you have a community, you sell 4, 8, 10 products to this community. You have advertising costs only once. You only attract people to your community, and that's it after that. Your community can sell anything you want. From felt boots to cars. I'll give you a simple example. Kim Kardashian. Yes. Do you know who Kardashian is? Yes. The biggest ass on the planet. Yes. A joke, of course, but it was beginning. A Ronaldo in it, right? They are, that's who knows, the famous Kardashian man. I don't know anything but my ass. But the song won't go, it doesn't dance. Everything she did, she captured one of the first. Captured the attention of the audience. She created her own community. And now it doesn't matter what to sell to this community. She serves ads. She and her husband Kenneth sold sneakers. She sells cosmetics, all poses. It doesn't matter what to sell. It only matters how many people you hold carefully. How much people's attention you hold is the only thing that matters. It does not matter your product. It does not matter the quality of your product. The price of your product does not matter. Nothing matters but the attention of your community. That's what you have to understand. Because the future is not for the product. The future. Why is this still happening? The fact is that many people do not want to make a decision because of the abundance of goods. And making a choice is a decision. And here is a person looking, for example, at Ronald. But I like her. I know, conditionally. A person looks like, well, a cool guy. I like an athlete. That's all there. And Ronaldo wears these sneakers. And he's like, fuck it. I'm going to this sports store now to pick out a bunch of sneakers there. Oh, whatever. And she doesn't wear those sneakers. No. And he buys. Moreover, if even the fans say, guys, now I have started to produce my sneakers, then they will buy 100% from him. Because people want to outsource decision making. People always want someone to make a decision for them. That's why people choose the people they follow and then do what they do. Therefore, the community is very important. If you want to stay in business, if you want to be successful in life in general, then you have to manage and work with the community. Because in this world, what is success? Success is promotion on the social ladder. On the social ladder. Success is not success in the forest. It's not a success somewhere out there, I don't know, at the factory. All our success is moving up the social ladder. That is, between people. Between people. That's it. And in order to move up the social ladder, you must have your own brand. You have to create your own community. And this is primary compared to your product and your business. And this is where the whole business is moving now. Now, how to create a community. The community, and which process has its own laws, and will become. Come on, let's look at them. The first. To start, to create a community, you need a catalyst. That's what a catalyst is. For example, have you ever seen a chemical reaction take place? Raise your hands. Who has seen a chemical reaction in real life? Well, that's fine in principle. I think less. I haven't seen Maury. The only thing I saw was when we took a carbide, dropped the champagne pipe, closed the cork and threw it. It was both. I'm stuck. That was it. Oh, what's like that? And then, this is carp. This is a chemical reaction. So that's it. What happens during a chemical reaction? First, a few simple substances are taken. They are mixed. Then, a catalyst is added there. A catalyst is usually a little something. A catalyst is added. And now something completely new appears. Something that feels like it's from the future. Here it was not, and it appeared. Something appears that did not exist, and that has new qualities that differ from the qualities of the components from which it was created. After a chemical reaction, substances cease to be related to substances. They become a new substance. Or take kefir, yogurt. Milk is taken, sourdough is added there. And this little starter gives birth to a completely new product called yogurt or kefir. And there are many such examples, but the point is once, we need a catalyst, just like friendship. What can serve as a catalyst? Anything can serve as a catalyst. It could be your product. This may be your service. This may be the experience of using your product or service. It can be some kind of event or event. It could be some person. It could be an idea or a danger. In short, anything can be a catalyst. But you need to make sure that the catalyst is connected to your product. This is very important. It can be either the product itself, or events related to your product, or the danger that your product eliminates. Either an idea, or a person who personifies your product. In short, a catalyst is what makes people come together for a certain interaction. That's what a catalyst is. The second, you need to create or identify a community core. The core. The core of the community can be active members or active consumers with the highest degree of involvement. Your task is to immediately start working with them and support them as much as possible. Support activists. You can support them either financially or status-wise, giving some status, or giving access to some exclusive. Third, you need to register the mission of the community, together with the members of the community, and define its goals. Fourth, you need to develop a set of rules for interaction and define channels of interaction. That is, the rules of interaction and channels of interaction, so that it is clear where the interaction with society takes place. Fifth, you need to define a schedule of events, and other acts of interaction. That is, you should have a calendar rhythm, a schedule. I should be stable to you. At the same time, it is very important that the community is built on the horizontal principle of self-organization. Otherwise, it will no longer be a community, but an audience. And here let's look at what is the difference between the community and the audience. The audience is not built unilaterally at all, from me to you. Well, for example, I'm telling you something. In this case, you are like an audience. In general, in the classroom, it is built on such a vertical principle. Someone brings something to the audience members, and everything is unilateral. There is no feedback, and all people communicate only there with the lecturer. In the community, communication is built horizontally. That is, people communicate with each other not like this, but like this. They communicate with each other. And therein lies the great advantage of the community. Because if a customer likes your product, they will very quickly spread through word of mouth that the product is cool. If you need to quickly share some good information there, the community spreads it very quickly. But the opposite is also true. If you start building a community there incorrectly, and you are a bad person, then the community will figure you out very quickly, and you will not succeed. How does community technology work? In short, I'll show you an example. When I created the Margo ecosystem, I didn't know anything about communities yet. But gradually, studying this marketing, social spheres and all these mechanics, I came to the conclusion that the way to organize a business is based on the community. It's on the community. This is the most correct business organization. And this is exactly what increases the feeling of happiness. That's what makes sense. At least while doing educational activities. If I was just engaged in educational activities and broadcast something there, it would not bring me such happiness, satisfaction. This did not give me the meaning of life that I am experiencing now. It's the same with you. You, communicating with me, communicating with each other, knocking on each other, you gradually begin to clothe the meaning of life. It doesn't happen immediately, but it happens gradually and inevitably. Because the more communication you have, the bigger your environment. You understand what you are needed for. Next. Studying the community, we gave this business, we gave it to the Crimean community. We began to move away from education in favor of the community. More than an attention. We started paying attention, not to how we teach people, but to how people learn from us. Not with us, but with us among the community. The fact is that even when I went to Finland in my time, I studied how the Finnish education system works. At their school, everything is built on 3 whales. First, the teacher explains to the audience. Secondly, each student explains this to each other. And the third, the one who did not understand goes to the middle and tries to explain to others. And these are 3 film studies. And here it is very important to understand that in this whole ecosystem, our community, the main link is not me. I'm just a catalyst. The main player, the main character is you. You should clearly understand this. And in general, the community, it makes such sense. Look, if we look for example at cycling, if you're the only one pedaling, then you're all out of the summary, because you'll lose a lot of strength. If you get into Python, or it's such a bunch, have you noticed? Cyclists ride in a bunch. If you geese fly the same way. Geese, ducks, migratory birds, they all fly like that. When you get into the pit, it turns out that this is reliable research. You save from 30 to 40% of your energy. From 30 to 40% of your energy, you save only because you are in the world of tone. So, when they come to me and say, I want to double it, 2x, 3x, 4, 5, and so on, I say, guys, wait. I can't give you such knowledge. And the first thing, if you want to grow, the first thing to do is go to the auction. This is to enter the community. You will immediately start saving energy. You will immediately avoid a lot of mistakes. And your environment will not let you merge. I am the only one. When we ascended Kilimanjaro, we were the largest climbing group. At least, those guides who were with us. And we set the second record, 100% of the group, for what on Kilimanjaro? Well, yes. Then, when asked for an interview with these 45 participants, it turned out that the guys say, we were walking because we're looking at static. I mean, well, I'm kind of like the oldest, they're there. Grandfather is coming. And they kind of held on. Some say, let's say, the girls are coming. Well, how can we meet girls? Uncomfortable. And what did they hurt there? Someone has a nose. Someone has a head there. Someone has hallucinations. Someone has vomiting. Someone did not have enough oxygen, and so on. One guy even had it so that I say, you know, this is a brown bear cub. I take this one, and this is a stone. I throw it, the other one is now lying. I'll clean it up, just looking, the whole mountain of cubs. I'm like this, I'm walking over the cubs, and I'm so uncomfortable, I'm already going. As I realized later, it turns out that I am. That is, he caught a hallucination. Then touch it, the guy was on fire in his pajamas. But the fact is, and then, when the girls asked, and we were afraid to merge, because we look, the team is coming, you can't let the team down. As a result, 45 people all looked at each other, and no one merged. And in that environment, if there was one catalyst that would say, oh, I can't do something. That's it, I'm not going any further. I'm sure 7, 8, 10 more people would have fallen off. Automatic. But because we were a community, because we support each other, we all reached and did not let anyone merge. Therefore, if you want to double your business into 4, 5, depending on our imagination, the first thing to do, if you want to develop, and if you want to attract people, the first thing is to enter the community. They ask me how to raise children or how to make them learn. And my advice is this. If you want to study well in your rooms, choose not to press. Choose an environment. You know, there are schools where children are confined to study. If you take our child there, your lazy child, who was lazy at another school, will immediately change. And it's me who will lie down for a few cases. And if you give the child to school, somewhere he will use smartphones, and who came in what car and so on, everything will be counted. This is how the community influences human behavior. We humans flock creatures. Packs. We love being in a pack. Therefore, the community. This is very important. I believe that a person has. You can just teach him something. Take and teach. You can only create conditions under which he will want to study all the time. And our main task now is to work on such an environment. Here in our info system, it is our task to work on such an environment. I say that when the speaker speaks from the stage or crouch, the programs say I caught an insider. Oh, I caught an insider and so on. You know, I will reveal a little secret that I will like coaching. The coach gives me the inside. There is a Chinese proverb, when the student is ready, the teacher also comes. Where did I get it from? Sometimes I myself say insights from a taxi driver, or a driver, or even an outsider. I can insider. I was like, oh damn, right, what about me? Well, not a coach, this is generally a built person, and this is not something at all. Well, for example, I won't tell a long story. During the COVID I caught and say. That is, I realized that in order to go to these sites, this student must already be ready. When the student is ready, the teacher can appear from anywhere. It can be a neighbor to your right, a neighbor to your left, or a coach who speaks from the stage. Therefore, the first one, when the student is ready to teach, will not appear. But the trick is that in order for the student to be ready, they need to create an environment for this. Piaget Wednesday. That is, an environment in which a person is not afraid to learn, is not afraid to accept his stupidities, is ready to admit that he does not know everything yet, and the plant is ready. This is exactly the environment we are working on. We have created a hierarchy of communities in which we move. Some of them are already successfully operating, and we will create some soon. If you take it as a whole, here I will show you the pyramid.